thank you everyone for joining us over this lunchtime. We like to have these meetings or webinars. We like to call them informal meetings, as Hans says. No rules. The only thing is when someone is presenting or talking, if you would just keep yourself on mute, there will be an opportunity for Q&A towards the end. I'll be monitoring the chat throughout, and then we can be a little bit more interactive then. So without any further ado, I'm going to be handing over to Hanneli and to Nick. Nick is joining us all the way from Rio. He's going to tell us some more about what he's doing in Rio. So thank you, Nick. It's a very early morning for you, or very early start, although it looks amazing in the background. I wish we were all sitting in Rio today. So Nick will tell us more about what he's doing that side of the world. For those that don't know, I'm probably going to do a little intro to myself. I always forget about that. I'm Kim Taylor. I'm SATSA's Communications and Stakeholder Manager. I joined the team earlier in January. I will be handing over to Hanneli, who needs no introduction at all. And Hanneli will be telling us all about why we are having this meeting today, and about the exciting developments for 101 Adventures. Just some housekeeping before I hand over. Just a reminder, the chat is open. I'll be monitoring for your questions there. And then we'll have an opportunity to ask those questions to our speakers, and to have those answered later on. Just a quick reminder to be on mute, please, when we are having our speakers present, and then you can take yourself off mute when you are asking a question towards the end. So you'll have that opportunity. Over to you, Han.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. I have shared my screen, so I can't see everyone. And I think if I keep it open here, then you guys can't see what I'm doing. There is a little bit of feedback. I think somebody isn't on mute.
Yeah.
Kim, if you can just have a look at and unmute them, please. Let's just see quickly. No, good grief. Whoa. I'm having fun here. Kim, I'm gonna mute you. Is that better, everyone? Nope, nope. Let's just mute everybody. Ay, ay, ay. That better. You can hear me. Just give me a thumbs up. And you
That's
can't
better,
hear
Han.
me
Everybody's good.
Okay, let's actually just stop sharing there for a bit. And where's the speaker view? Oh, my computer is being funny today. Like, this is what we need. Okay, so thank you so much. We've got 70 people in the room. We had about 200 people RSVP. I know a lot of people are waiting for the recording of this, but it's really exciting. It's stuff that you might have heard already, because we've been working on this for a long time. But sorry, there we go. Sorry, I'm also just dealing with AIs as we go along here. We've been working on the adventure tourism self-regulation for a long time. There's a few reasons. Many years ago, I think it was one of my very first things when I joined SATSA in 2015 was the Western Cape. It was the end of the public-private consultation where Department of Tourism asked SATSA to help them go through the industry, through the different provinces and talk about adventure tourism, because it is a growth area for South Africa. Johan from Dirty Boots, I think they're in the room. Jordan is definitely here. Hi, Jordan. Johan always called it the sleeping giant of the tourism industry. Adventure is the fastest growing. I know I'm speaking to the converted. You guys all know this, but it really is time that we do a concerted effort to position ourselves. And I think that's the main thing of why we're doing this. So let me tell it to you. Show you in the big picture is what we're trying to do is position Southern Africa as an adventure capital. I initially had some when we did the research around this, and there's a lot of research, but this was quite a few years ago already. I did a visit to New Zealand, and it's amazing how they work. They literally, the entire tourism campaign is hinged on adventure. They call themselves the adventure capital of the world. They have some amazing products, but I reckon that we probably have more. They have the glaciers and the snow, perhaps, that we don't, but we've got so many things. Some of the stuff that we dug up in the research was spelunking tours in Cape Town, where you go underneath into the water tunnels. We had back of Bucky sandboarding, where you like hook onto the back and you go over the sandboards. It's crazy. And when Kim said earlier that there's no rules for the meeting, but there sure is a lot for adventure. So we are so ideally positioned to become one of the adventure, the top adventure destinations. And then we sat and we said, okay, now how do we do this? Part of that consultation that we went through was that we were looking at the kinds of regulations that there are. And the research I did was also based around that. So there's government regulations and then there's self-regulation. Now, often self-regulation is actually higher. The standards are higher than government regulation, but we all know in South Africa that government regulation can be clunky at times and slow at times. I'm not going to mention the NPTR today. So in order to avoid that, or at least to start the process, what the industry felt like at that stage, and this is through the 9 provinces that we went through, is that self-regulation would be a better option for South Africa. And the idea is that once we have regulations, we are able to promote ourselves as a safe, fun, reliable destination. And that means that people are adhering to international best practice. So, and it all started, I'm going to go back a little bit further even. It was Minister Korbroek van Skalkwyk. I think it was him, David was there, and he told the story of, his wife was paragliding off Lion's Head. And as she left the hill, he was wondering whether, this is a safe thing, whether the company is safe. It was a little bit late then, but anyways, so that's how it sort of started, and looking at regulations. But, you want to give people that peace of mind. So if we want to position ourselves as a top destination, we have to have products that adhere to international criteria. And for that, industry said we needed to do self-regulation. That's the route we wanted to go. So then a whole bunch of years went by where we were putting proposals together, and both to government government departments and other associations, and to try and get the funding to get this project on the go. That didn't happen. COVID happened, and that allowed some people time to sit and provide information and take up projects, etc. So in 2020 we launched our adventure chapter. So we decided we're just going to do it private sector. We're not going to take funding. It does mean a slower process. We were hoping to have a Mercedes, but we're driving with our Toyota Corolla, which we're very happy with at the moment, and the Corolla is catching speed as we go along, which is what we're presenting to you guys today. So if it's a self-regulation, it means that the members in the just a second, sorry, you all know my dogs. I don't even have to apologize for them anymore. I don't know if you can hear them barking in the background. I hope not. If it's self-regulation, it means that industry are the ones that must come up with the regulations. Now, SATSA can play a role in facilitating that, and we have the adventure chapter, which is led by an amazing group of people. Nick is our chair at the moment. Previously, it was Johan from Dirty Boots, and before that, Uncle Bill Harrop, which I always remember, and a lot of the work that we're doing now is a legacy of what he sort of left behind for us. And we have Nick now in Rio for a little bit, who is chairing the committee. We also work with all of the other associations. And as you will see, as I take you through the details here, it really is open to everybody. We're not creating this for SATSA. We are creating it for the industry. It is to ensure that our tourism industry grow, and adventure tourism, as I said, is one of the key pillars for us to do that. So in the committee currently we have SAIA, which is the South African Adventure Tourism Industry Association. They will become the professional body for adventure guides, and I'm speaking it into being. They are in the application process, but it's so important for us. The guiding side of, from a regulation point of view is incredibly important. but it comes with a huge amount, as any of you know that is a adventure or a tourist or a nature guide. There's a lot of changes happening at the moment. So our toolkit on that is on hold, but we'll speak about that a little bit later. So Saya, they also represent a lot of the education side of tourism, schools, team building, etc. We have Satovito, which is the Township and Rural Villages Association. We have Marie-Louise Kellett from Gravity Adventures, but also the APA, the Africa Paddling Association, really any association that is existing. And I only heard this morning about a new one called the Seal Snorkeling and Divers Association, which I have immediately said, please come on board, work with us. Let me stop sharing this screen for a little bit. Just want to see if I can get back on. I don't know if you guys can see me, but I can't see myself. So that's probably a good thing. So the invitation is open to any association, to any individual, to anybody that's working in adventure tourism. Work with us, help us get this amazing, set of international regulations on the go, and it'll help us. So again, back to the basics. Position us as the top regulator, have standards in place, have products in place that are adhering to that standard that we can promote. And it's not just SATSA, it's South African tourism, it's all the provincial authorities, and Westgrow is working very closely with us on this, that they can with comfort take into the international market and say, these are our top adventure operators and they follow international best practice. But there's always a way that we have to make sure, and that would be the work that SATSA and the associations does, that there are compliance into this. So if I take you very quickly then through the website and the stuff that we have done. Here we go. So on our SATSA website, you go to committees and projects, adventure tourism, and that's really the one place where we're trying to put all of the information that's relevant to you guys. It's got a little bit of, the information. We have a 101 Adventures website, which I'm just going to show you quickly. So this is the brand that we developed that's consumer facing. We have, I hope that you can see it. Paula, just give me a thumbs up if you can see the 101 Adventures website. Great. So this is the consumer facing brand, because if we go out with, SATSA or Saya or whoever else, the actual participants, the guests of the experience might not know exactly what this is. So this is the brand we're putting all of our weight behind. We do have the website, as I said. There is a little bit of details about the region, why 101 Adventures, who we are. We talk about this, starting your adventure now. So we have our lovely relationship with Dirty Buttes, where we have different adventures. I think this one links through to that. Yeah, there we go. So all of the 101 Adventures is linked in Dirty Buttes as well. And we do, let me just go back to this one. So you can have a look at the different adventures. We had a map. I've just not paid for the license, so I need to do that. But I wanted to make some changes to that, where we have a map of Southern Africa and all of the adventure activities that's included in that. We have a subscription for our newsletter. Now, this is very exciting. I'm going to hand over to Andrea. She is, or better known as Bun, she is our hero, really, digital hero. She's going to talk to you about the stuff that she does on communicating with our audience. We have an audience of 110,000 South African or Southern African travelers who are interested in adventure travel. We communicate to them regularly. I'm not going to go into all of that, but just she's going to give you the details, but it's really exciting. So it's physical linking product to consumer, which is fantastic. So there's the monthly newsletters that we send. So we did an A to Z of adventure. We're on R at the moment. I think R is being published, but if you join, then you will get from A to from A to the rest. We're also running lovely competitions. You guys would remember the one that we did at the beginning of 2024, which was really our first attempt at building our database. So this is the details of 101 Adventures. Let's go back quickly to adventure tourism. Okay, now I'll hit you with this later. Paula, remind me, we want to talk about the survey because without that, we don't have any stats. I really want to get to the exciting part, which is the work that we have done. So first of all, the committee has done the generic or general code of good practice. That means that it is applicable to any adventure tourism business across South Africa. That is available on, there's a guide on how to complete it and a checklist. So if you're a SATSA member and you want to be able to carry the 101 logo, you go in there. It is for adventure products only at the moment. We are busy developing the adventure tour operator one, which will have slightly different requirements. So if you're a product and you're a SATSA member and you want to carry the 101 logo, you go into the general code of good practice checklist, and then there's a guide according to that. If you want to see how you're faring, regardless of whether you're a member or not, we've developed the self-assessment tool. So I'm just going to go click into that quickly. It's a few questions, well, quite a few, that we're asking, which is directly linked to the code of the generic code of good practice that we've done. So you go in here and you answer the questions, and I'm just going to give you a quick example. If I answer yes on 2 or 3 of them. So we look at, for the regulations, we look at the operations and safety, compliance and documentation, equipment and facilities, staff training, competency, and environmental and community responsibility. And then finally, your marketing and market access. So it'll add up your score here. Let me kill that one quickly. It'll add up your score here, and then there's the interpretation. If you're 80 points, then you are aligned with global best practice. If you're between 40 and 60 or below 60, then there's still a little bit of work to do. We have now made available these free resources. Anybody in the industry, I just want to repeat that, regardless of your SATSA member status, you're able to access that. And those would then be, okay, so first, one step back, our self-regulation roadmap, that sets out what the plan is around the adventure committee, the people that we've got involved, and how we're seeing ourselves going forward. What is important for me on this slide, and you guys are welcome to go and have a look at this at your own time, it's this one. I wonder if I can open it up quickly. There we go. So this is really the model that we're talking about. It is the roadmap, this document. Then we have our generic code of good practice. That's the one I spoke about. It's for everybody. And this is supported by the guide and toolkits. In the toolkits, which I'm going to show you just now, that's free to use. See how you align, where you can better do that. Our toolkits are aligned to ISO, and that's why Nick is sitting in Rio at the moment, and he's going to tell us a lot more about that. So if you comply to the SATSA, well, the toolkits, then you are also compliant to international, ISO standards, etc. So I'm just admitting people as we go along. So if you see something in front of my screen. Okay, so now this is the sort of resources and the toolkits that helps you get started. And then we have our subsector code of good practices. So anybody in boating, there will be certain criteria that is applicable: paddling, hiking, aerial, and wheels-based. We have these as drafts at the moment, and we need your input to make sure that they are relevant and that they're not too red tape and, all of those sort of things. These are the first 5 that we've started with. There will be more, like we have aerial flight, which, we will add. And again, this is all based on voluntary. Paula Bester, who I refer to every now and again, as helping us on the adventure chapter to make sure that these documents are being created and is out for your input. So we will be creating more of these additional categories, and then underneath each of these. So if we go into boat-based activities, and this is the next step once we have that draft code of good practice confirmed, is that we go into individual activities. So now we will start talking about, whale watching, boats, cruises, sunset cruises, etc. And each of those will then have their own individual activity standard. So this all leads to us doing the info gathering, which I spoke about earlier, the survey. Gosh, please, 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 I'm going to put it on the screen just now. And Kim, if you can maybe pop it into the chat. it is so important for us to have the stats, because without that, our lobbying and our advocacy with government really means very little. So the last one that was done by Dirty Boots in 2014 showed amazing information on the strength of the adventure industry. But for us to lobby for it to be more visible, for it to get more marketing allocation, etc., we need the information from you. So if just from a recourse point of view, if you're a SATSA member and you have the 101 adventures, what you also say to your guests then is that there's recourse. If there's something that they did that isn't right, or that the person is not happy with, or that somebody else in the industry is not happy with, there's a way for us to address that. It's not a hectic process. It's like, okay, so this is the complaint. We make the information available to you. We get the details back from you, and we mediate that sort of disagreement, if you want to call it that way. But yeah, the info gathering, the research and survey results are so important for our lobbying. And then obviously this leads to the marketing, as I said to you, from exhibitions to events, social media, fam trips, all of that stuff that we're doing on 101 adventures that Anthea will tell us about. And then training and education. I think these toolkits are also great for somebody that is entering into the industry. Now, what is so exciting about adventure tourism is that the applicability in rural areas. So we talk about geographic spread. I think that is our sort of the psalm that we're singing at SATSA for this year. We know Cape Town and Kruger is good on their recovery, but the rest of the industry is not. And we want to get people out into the general, areas of South Africa. Adventure tourism, and I'll use the Graskop Gorge Lift Company as a perfect example. They, second, sorry, boy. Graskop was, at some stage, it used to be a great tourism destination, and then it went quiet. And now we are, since Graskop has been there, lots more adventure activities, lots more accommodation. I mean, it's an anchor product that really then develops that entire area. So for us, it's so applicable from a rural point of view, from a job creation, poverty alleviation, etc. So just on the marketing side, very quickly, we currently have a proposal in with SA Tourism. It's through the TBCSA. There's a structured engagement where we're looking at niche tourism sectors, so adventure, youth, and golf. On the adventure side, what we have asked for is it's a whole bunch of competitions, international visibility, content and collateral that you guys can use, and how do we take our products that are aligned and get them out into the market. So we obviously, it's not going to just be SATS alone, it's going to be with our partners like SA Tourism. So that's the carrot, if you want to call it, at the end of the line. That's why you want to be involved in all of this, because there will be excellent exposure as we grow this. So just quickly back to the documents. So we have the roadmap, we have our guide on completing the checklist. If you are not a SATSA member and you want to use 101, but you're a SIA member, that's also possible. So I'm just speaking SATSA specifically today, but please know that this is applicable everywhere. So the toolkits that we have developed, and these are, so for existing businesses, I think the toolkits are good just to go through and see, are you aware of all of them? And you probably will already meet all of them, but it's a nice way just to gather the thoughts and make sure that you're aligned. And then, as I said, for new businesses, these would really be good to implement from the start. So we have our standard operating procedures, risk and safety management, which was the one that we've launched recently. Participant care, we're working very hard on our responsible adventure tourism, and Nick will speak a little bit more about that as well. And then we have leadership and guides, which is the one we are just holding slightly. We are going to develop it because we need to just get the information out there. If you're an adventure operator and you have a guide, they need to be adventure guide registered, etc. Even though there are some complications on the training and the qualifications at the moment, we will get over that. So then we get into our category specific code of good practice, boat-based, paddling, all of the ones I spoke about just now. You'll see that they are marked as draft. So we are hoping for robust input from the industry to make sure that this is aligned to what is really happening out there. Again, not our documents. We put it together, you come and pull it to pieces and put the puzzle back together in a new way, and we have something that works for everyone. And then, as I said, we're going to go into individual activity standards. There's the why of adventure tourism, the how fast it is growing, why it's important for South Africa, the whole process, the 101 Adventures brand, things. But you can go and have a read at this, and then why and how collaborate with our adventure chapter. And here we're opening it up. So if you're a SATSA member, join the adventure chapter. If you are a non-SATSA member but you want to be involved in the process, become a community member. We've got the link there to register, and you will get then information about the projects that we're doing. And then lastly, if you're a stakeholder, association, government department, etc., and you want to make sure that your voice is heard and work with us on those technical teams, you click here. And that's a very long, quick overview of what we're doing on the adventure tourism side. So I think if we can quickly go to Anthea, just tell us on the consumer facing side what it is that you're working with, and then it's back to Kim and Nick.
How's it, Annalie? How's it, everybody? So nice to see some familiar faces and some new ones.
Our favorite geek. Woohoo!
Yay! Yeah, so it's been quite a journey with regards to building the database in terms of the consumer-facing side. What we did is we've done the 101 Adventures competition 2 years ago, and then last year I hosted a competition that was more of a national competition to prove the concept of can we gain a little bit more insight into international visitors. So all of our previous campaigns were predominantly focused on inspiring more domestic adventure tourism, but what I realized is that 90% of our tourists that bring the big bucks are from overseas. So we ran a national competition with a prize worth R1 million, and it included a whole bunch of adventures, activities, accommodation, restaurants, and so on and so forth. And we managed to gain a database of 86,000 people. 30% of those people were international. So am I able to share my screen?
I'll open it up for you quickly. Sorry about that. There we go.
I just want to show you a little bit of an insight to why this is important. I'll share screen. Thank you. Okay. So what I believe is that the more that we know about our consumers, the easier it is to market our services to them. So what we do in these competitions is that we ask questions in terms of checkboxes that give us a little bit more insight. Sorry, this should have been at the beginning. So this is the overview from the recent competition. The objective is to gather entries to be able to create segmentation in terms of their affordability, their interests, what things are important to them. We ran this recent competition from September to last year to the beginning of this year, primarily targeting South Africans, but also, as I just mentioned, to gain a bit of understanding about our internationals. How this happens, these competitions go viral is that can everyone see my screen?
I can.
Okay,
cool. Yeah, you're good.
Excellent. 75% of these entries happen through sharing. So one person shares, and obviously then we create them to be brand ambassadors by giving them a WhatsApp link with their unique number. When they share that, they get extra bonus entries into the competition, which creates this viral loop. And what's nice about it is it's generally birds of a feather flock together. So we gain database segmentation into different segments of societies, in different LSM groups, in different interest groups, and now as a proof of concept in different countries. So you can see most of them still came from South Africa, then United Kingdom with 2%, the United States with 0.5%, and then other countries making up the other 25.5%. The travel budget per person also very interesting for hyper personalization, which is going to come into once we have these regulations in practice, that we can do hyper focused, personalized marketing to people within their affordability. So we can segment out people in the database that are willing to spend more than 4,000 Rand per night on travel. On accommodation, and we can offer them the scenic helicopter rides. Let's rather not offer the people that are not willing to spend more than 750 Rand a night a helicopter ride, because it's not speaking in alignment with their affordability or interests. Motivations to travel as well. You can see quite a big percentage of people are very interested in activities and adventure. I would also consider wildlife and safaris to be within the adventure tourism sector. So again, the objective of these competitions is to gain a deeper insight into who are the people that are traveling to and around South Africa, what are they interested in, and the more we can learn about them, the easier it becomes to give them that hyper-personalized business to consumer type of marketing. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer, but I think that's basically my little overview for now, if that's cool.
Thank you so much, Andrea. So yeah, it becomes a really nice loop in that we get the information from consumers as well. We do have a consumer trends report that we did from our competition that we ran in the Western Cape, which we are happy to share. You can just pop me an email, Kim, if you wouldn't mind just popping my email address in the chat for those who don't have it. But I'm very happy to share that with you. It is from when was the competition? 2024. It's 2024 stats, but I think they're still pretty relevant. So you guys are welcome to share that with us. Kim, back to you.
Fan. So just doing a bit of a check in the Q&A, no questions so far. So I think I'm going to hand over to Nick. As I mentioned, Nick is joining us all the way from Rio, so he's going to tell us what he's doing in Rio. I think it should be almost 8 o'clock in the morning there. So thanks for joining us so early, Nick, in the day. Just a reminder that the Q&A is open for any questions you have. I have also popped the survey link that Haneli was chatting around in the Q&A folder, as well as the link to the resources Haneli took us through in the Q&A folder. If you've had to jump in and jump out again and jump back in, because we know it's over lunchtime, it is being recorded, this session. We will be sharing this, after the session, as well as the assets, so that you have that at your disposal. Over to you, Nick.
How's it? It feels very good to say how's it. The last few days I've been saying ni hao, bom dias, buenos dias,
Hola.
and various other things. So yes, I'm in Rio. I'm in Rio de Janeiro in Copacabana. I've been sent here by the SABS, the South African Bureau of Standards, to represent South Africa at an ISO tourism conference. Every year, the Technical Committee for Tourism has an ISO plenary where experts from around the world come together and discuss standards for tourism internationally. So just a bit of background. So the SABS, I'm sure you're all familiar with the SABS. You've seen the signs, SABS approved and so on. SABS is a founder member of ISO, the International Organization for Standardization. There are 174 member countries within ISO, and there are, I think, 34 or 35 countries currently represented at this meeting. I showed the team a video of the room where we meet, and it literally looks like the United Nations of tourism, with microphones around and translators, and it's all very exciting. So what are standards? Standards are documents produced by ISO that are very often adopted by the national standards body like the SABS, and they fall into kind of two categories. There's a guideline standard, which is exactly what the name means. It's a guideline. It's kind of how to do things correctly, and there's a requirements standard. And requirement standards generally require an audit, or they require conformity. There's two ways that audit can be done. You can do it yourself, so you can audit your own activity in terms of the standards. You say, yep, I conform to standard XYZ, or it can be done externally. In South Africa, the tourism standards are regulated. They are adopted by the SABS under the Standards Act of 2008. But there's only one that can be externally audited at the moment, and that is for responsible tourism. But we are engaging with the authorities in South Africa to look at a bunch of others, because there are quite a few other standards that are appropriate to our sector, to our industry, that are management standards, their requirements, and they can be audited against. And so we're looking to have those set up. So excuse me, I'm looking at my phone for notes here. I'm about to go into a meeting for Working Group 7 of the committee, which is for adventure tourism, and we're going to be discussing the kind of things that we're doing now. And aside, quickly, when the people from New Zealand, who are probably our competitors in terms of promoting themselves as the adventure capital, when they took a look at this self-regulation process, the guy said, "Oh crap! Are we allowed to say that in a webinar?" Because we are years ahead of them in terms of this self-regulation process and the toolkits and the SOPs and so on. We are years ahead, which is fantastic. So I came into this team quite late, only I think maybe about a year ago. So well done to the team and all the work that's been done. So just in summary, there are 99 standards currently that are applicable to the tourism industry. There is a standard that talks about vocabulary for restaurants. There's online travel agencies. There's hotel service requirements. There's medical tourism. There's recreational diving. There's standards left, right, and center. There are 4 standards that are currently very pertinent to adventure tourism. The first one speaks to safety management systems, how to keep your clients safe in your adventure activity. The second one talks about personnel competence, what your guides that Annelie mentioned earlier, what they need to know and what they need to be able to do. And the third is the information that you provide to clients, what kind of information you provide to clients. And it discusses all sorts of stuff from indemnity forms to waivers and should we have them in the first instance and all that kind of complicated stuff that we often wring our hands about. There is a hiking and trekking standard, which is a requirement. In other words, it can be audited against. And there is a standard, we're actually going to a workshop this evening about it, on good practices for sustainability. So how do we get sustainable? How do we make our adventure activities sustainable? Again, the meeting I'm talking about today, going to today, there are a bunch of standards that are going to be written. There's one on horse riding, but the people from the Middle East said, hey, we ride camels as well. So can we make it horses and camels, please? Elephants is not included because that is not approved by ISO. We don't agree with elephant riding.
I'm not sure.
I think Nick has frozen.
Yes.
No,
yes.
he has frozen.
Oh,
Just
no.
give it a few seconds.
Is he still on the meeting? Yes. Nick, if you can hear us. I attended the plenary, the ISO plenary in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur in 2017, and it really is amazing. You feel like you're in the United Nations. Language is a huge barrier, but they have translators and machines and all of those fancy texts there. But it's important for us to be aligned to regulation, but we never want people to feel like this is going to be over-regulated. And that's why we're choosing self-regulation, so that there's a carrot rather than a stick. And the carrot is the exposure that you're able to get into the, internationally and locally. Sorry. That time of the year, our Indaba coughs, everybody's got them. So yeah, I think if we can maybe open up for some questions in the meantime, comments, recommendations, advice that you want to give us, concerns that you have, you're welcome to unmute yourself and chat while we see if we can get Nick back. Technology is amazing, but it always lets you down. Chantal, maybe if I can just give you a second or two, we're about to sign a really interesting partnership with Kio. Maybe you can just talk about that very quickly.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for having me here today. So we are busy finalizing the review management platform for all members to join and get their visibility enhanced, so that more people can get more business from customers through the marketing campaigns and their visibility on there. So yeah, we're excited to take on each member, just do a needs analysis, see where they're at, what they're currently doing, and then take it on from there. And every member that joins up will get some special pricing allocated. So yeah, we're
Yeah, and
excited
this is all
about.
about managing your reviews. So now, once you've got the customers, how do other people see? Because I mean, when I travel international, I go into the reviews to see if this is a good opportunity or not. So maybe just a little bit of an overview of Kio.
Okay, so Kio is the review management platform. We're internationally based. Head office is in the Netherlands. We are mainly focusing on SA, no vertical specific, but adventure and tourism is one sector of it. The platform is very easy and accessible. You just basically send an invitation out to your client. You have a QR code. It pulls through to your dashboard. You actually get feedback, pulling through specific analytics that you can go through and pull reports for your meetings. And you get to actually speak to your customers and respond to their reviews directly. This is a transactional base, so your customer needs a receipt. It's not an open-ended GMB page. Anybody can leave feedback, and that can actually damage people's reputation. So you are in control. You're keeping your customers' feedback in your hands, and that is where the main focus is, that everything's centralized, and to make sure that you get the right exposure with regards to the analytics that pull through with the APIs and everything that we are partnered with Google to enhance that visibility and get more business.
Stunning. Thanks, guys. We're going to be launching that very soon. And now, whilst I have a few minutes, and I'm not sure if we are going to get Nick back, please, if there's questions, as I said, casual meeting, you unmute yourself and you jump in. Our SATSA conference, you will be the first people to hear. Paula, I see you. Thank you. We are about to launch that as well. So the partnership with Kio, a partnership with AA, not the Alcoholics Anonymous, which we all need, but Automobile Association.
I've asked everybody for this. It used to work.
We just put Wendy on mute. Sorry. So a lot of partnerships are actually coming out. It's been amazing to have Kim there because she's helping us with this. So we are embracing technology, and all of those will be on show at the conference. The partnerships that we have, the conference is in Johannesburg, so that we spread the love from a reading, regional spread point of view. I see Nick is back in the meeting again. But yeah, conference 9 to 11 September, Johannesburg. It's going to be held at the Westcliff. We will launch information about that soon as well. And then Kim, before when Nick is completed, then Paula, and then maybe you can just talk about tourism link up. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, sorry, my data and my eSIM ran out, and I had to change to the hotel network, which is not very stable itself. Anyway, okay.
I hope you're using the SATSA eSIM.
Nice to see.
Are you using the SATSA
I'm indeed
eSIM?
using the SATSA eSIM. I'm using this. Of course, I'm using the SATSA eSIM. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So in summary, lots and lots of standards around tourism, summer guidance, summer requirements. People are often terrified of standards, think, oh man, I've got to go through this, I've got to jump through hoops and so on. No, what we've been doing is making sure that the self-regulation process that we've been going through within the 101 standards. So if you go through the self-regulation process and you come out the other end and you've ticked all the boxes and you've done the work, you will naturally already conform to the standards. So Hanley mentioned a carrot earlier. Yeah, carrot. The carrot of conforming to standards is that you can say, yes, I conform to ISO standards. Now, this is important, really, really important. I'll tell you why. Since COVID, international travelers want three things, particularly within the adventure space. They want to know that they're going to be safe. They want to know that they are contributing to sustainable tourism, and they want to know that they're contributing to responsible tourism. And the standards that we've been infiltrating into the self-regulation process guarantee those things. When we get to the stage where we can go through the auditing process, you will have all the paperwork, you'll have all the processes, you'll have all the SOPs and the risk assessments in place to be able to have an external auditor if you want, or do it yourself, and put up your hand and say, I am ISO compliant. I conform to the ISO standards, which is a massive marketing advantage. So that's it. That's the standard stuff. I'm here in Rio until Friday, and we're going to spend the whole day today looking at adventure tourism and making sure that your best interests are represented.
That's stunning,
within the
Nick.
standards process. Thanks, Anne.
Yeah, it would be
Thanks, man.
nice to do an
Appreciate it.
article with, it's a pleasure. It's so lovely to have you. To do an article when you're back, just to update everybody on what the discussions were, what the regulations in development are, all of those sort of things. It would be really lovely. Thanks, Nick. Okay, then I just had to quickly, Kim, apologies.
Very happy to do that.
Okay, perfect. Ryan was speaking about SATSA and the insurance brokers. And what's so important about this, the research, the survey that we're talking about, in order for us to go and lobby to get good insurance products. And right now, as you guys would know, quad bikes, for instance, they wouldn't touch. Skydiving, they won't touch because they think of the risk involved in that. So if we can prove the mitigations that we've put in place on that risk and actually have an incident database. So proving to them that, out of the million people that jump out of a plane.
Emily, can I interrupt?
Yes.
Can I interrupt you there? So this is another thing. So one last thing, you just reminded me. So Jesse from SIA and I had a high-level meeting with SATSA underwriters and a few other insurance underwriters. We spoke about standardization. We spoke about our self-regulation and the fact that our adventure providers and product owners can become ISO compliant. And they said, wow, why didn't you tell us this? We will ensure it. If it's ISO compliant, we will ensure your activity. So
yeah, exactly. So please survey, guys. We can't do this without you. In order for us to do that advocacy properly, we need that. SATSA is, of course, a SATSA partner. They've been for many, many years. We just celebrated their 35th birthday at the Indaba stand. So very excited about that and excited to take these things forward. Kim, back to you and Paula.
Then if Paula wants to go first.
Okay, just unmuting myself. I was just going to chase down the survey, as Hanneli had mentioned earlier. We have been getting some nice responses in the last week and are pushing really, really hard for more. The more responses we get, the greater the data that we are working with, obviously, and the more accurate the information we have. So I'm appealing to absolutely anyone and everyone. Please go on, do the survey. If you have a problem, Kim, I'm happy for my cell number and email address to go up. Contact me if you need me to help you. If you want me to go through the survey with you, I'm happy to do so to help us get these numbers going. So the more the merrier.
Yes, and the results will be shared with everybody who completed the survey so that you can also see how you are relating. No individual names, we always say that, but you can see how the industry is doing and then compare yourself according to that. Kim, back to you. We've got about 10 minutes left. If there's any further questions, happy to take those.
No further questions. Han, just a reminder, the survey link has been popped into the Q&A folder alongside the link to the website where you'll find all the resources Hanneli went through. We'll obviously be communicating on an ongoing basis. Just tourism link up. You may have seen the mailer that went out. Very exciting new initiative that we are launching next week, Tuesday, with the newsletter. So we have our Thursday newsletter that goes out. Sometimes it goes out on a Friday morning, and we really want that to carry on or continue going out as an industry update, just so, with some quick nuggets and takeaways in terms of what's happening. And our Tuesday newsletter, which we've termed the Tuesday Tourism Link Up, or Link Up Tuesdays, I'll get it right eventually, is really about our members and our partners and how we showcase the products and services our members and partners offer to tourism. So you can submit your sort of application within that newsletter that went out this week. There was a Google form, which we'll share again, where you can kind of give a little overview of the product or service you want featured, all the calls to action, your website, your online booking tool, everything. And then we will plug it into that newsletter and really showcase your products and services as our members. And then there'll be a partner element to that as well. We have some fantastic strategic partners, but very much aware that we probably don't communicate the member value proposition and how that impacts your back pocket at the end of the day as a SATSA member. So that newsletter is really going to be the platform to showcase that. So look out for that on Tuesday. But there's a whole campaign around it in terms of tourism link up. So whether it's chapter meetings or quick virtual meetings where you get to kind of sell your product or service in a quick 5-minute pitch, we'll be doing a lot of that. So it is a campaign that we're building as we go along. There's no hard and fast rules, but really it's around elevating you as our members and our partners and how we connect you with one another. And it always born out of the concept of someone sitting in Cape Town as a member might not be aware that there's a Tabu in Joburg who does these amazing art tours. And they wouldn't even know about it. So how do they showcase that or include that in their itineraries or their recommendations to their clients? So very, very exciting. If you want to get involved, we'll share more details in the newsletter going out tomorrow.
And definitely a section for our 101 adventure members in there.
Absolutely.
And also, whilst Kim was talking about the partnerships, I don't know how many of you know that we have a partnership with Toyota. One of our operators, I just happened to hear that they're buying a vehicle, and I said, "Oh, I hope you're using the discount." He didn't. He wasn't aware of it. He then implemented it, and it was a 2% saving, which might not seem like a lot, but if you put that into Rand, when you buy a vehicle from Toyota, it's quite a bit. I think Anthea just had a quick question.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask in terms of, so we've got good partnerships with like Saya, and then obviously you've got good relationship with Westgrow and places like Visit Knysna, for example, that have got online directories of adventure activities in their area. Has there been a way that SATSA has reached out to each of those individually? Alternatively, what I can offer is that I've got some cool geeky magic tech that can scrape those public-facing websites, dissect them into a nice Google sheet with little columns to say accommodation, eatery, adventures, and then maybe we send out each of those activities that link directly as a potential. I don't know how much of that you've done on a direct sort of basis, but that could be another way to make the net cast a bit wider.
Stunning. Happy to take that up with you. I'm going to add you to the adventure chapter. We should have done that a long time ago, just to keep the lines of communication from a consumer facing to a product development point of view open. Okay, that was lunch.
No
Anything
other questions?
Yes?
Yeah. Don't know if there's any questions from the floor, if anybody wants to unmute themselves, but nothing in the Q&A folder.
Thank you so much, people. It was lovely, very informal. We are going to do these informal there. It's like a little quick lunchtime break. Gives you guys time to hear what we're up to. There's a lot of other things that we share, as you've heard, on these meetings as well. So thank you, Nick from Rio. Thank you, Kim, for facilitating for us, and Anthea and Chantel and Paula for your additions. And we will speak soon. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.